At the start of this channel, I used to mock Messi fans. I thought it was funny, provocative, viral. But over time, I realized that behind every argument, every insult, and every fanboy, there was something deeper. This wasn't just about football. It was a clash of worldviews, between magic and machinery, between instinct and discipline, between the dream of the impossible and the reward for relentless effort. And then I asked myself something I never dared to consider before. What if this debate never made sense to begin with? What if we weren't arguing about who was better, but about who represents what we want to believe about football, or even about life itself? This video is not a mockery. It's a reflection, one that took me a long time to digest. Because maybe the Messi versus Cristiano debate has no solution. And not because we lack stats, goals, or trophies, but because maybe we're asking the wrong question. So if you love football, but also like to think, stick around. Because this video will dive into uncomfortable questions, time, freedom, and the things we can't measure. I don't promise answers, but I do promise questions that matter. And if that sounds like your thing, subscribe. For over 15 years, football revolved around one single question: Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo? Every schoolyard, every group chat, every pub table, the debate was always there. As if the universe forced us to choose. As if there couldn't be two stars in the same sky. But did we ever stop to ask why we had to choose? Why we fought like animals instead of enjoying both? We were taught to pick sides. That one was the divine genius, and the other, pure will and work. And so we were divided. We were made to believe that admiring both was betrayal, that respecting the other was weakness. But who made those rules? Who convinced us this was a war and not a blessing? Maybe someone had something to gain while we fought like blind fanatics, became bigger than football itself. Because if it's been over a decade, and we still can't agree, maybe it's a rigged question, and that's when something hit me. To truly answer this debate, watching games, counting trophies, listing Ballon d'Ors, it's not enough. If we really want to know who was better, we'd have to know everything, not just stats and titles, but the invisible things, the pressure they felt, the fear they faced, the decisions made in split seconds, the times their bodies answered or didn't. Every detail, every variable, and then came the deeper question: is that even possible? That's when I saw it. There are only two paths, two ways of looking at reality. Path 1. Everything is determined. This view says we live in a deterministic universe, that everything happens because it had to happen, that if we had enough data, we could predict it all, like a giant machine. Under this view, we could figure out who was better. But here's the catch. If everything was already written, where does merit go? Can we truly admire someone for fulfilling a destiny they couldn't avoid? If Messi was born to be the best, if Cristiano was programmed to outwork everyone, then what they did wasn't a choice. It was just execution. And that takes something away from football. It takes away its soul. Path 2. Not everything is determined. This view says not everything is written, that chaos exists, freedom, chance, that Messi and Cristiano chose. They doubted, they suffered, they grew, and that makes them human. But here's the other side of that coin. It also means we'll never know everything. We'll never know what Messi felt in the 120th minute of the World Cup final. We'll never know what went through Ronaldo's mind when he missed that penalty. Some things can't be measured, and if they can't be measured, they can't be compared with certainty. And that's the paradox. If everything is determined, we can solve the debate, but it becomes meaningless. If it's not determined, the debate matters but can never be solved. Two paths, and neither gives us a final answer. And after thinking through all this, I asked myself something I'd never dared to before. What if we didn't ruin the debate? What if someone made us see it as a fight? What if someone turned our love for the game into tribalism? Just think about it. Who profits from this endless war? Who wins when strangers insult each other on Twitter over a penalty goal? Who wins when videos like Messi disappeared or Cristiano is a fraud go viral? Who wins when every Champions League, every World Cup, every Ballon d'Or becomes an eternal trial? The answer is clear. The media, the content creators, the accounts that feed on conflict. The Messi versus Cristiano debate was their gold mine, a never-ending generator of clicks, views, and comments. It didn't matter who won. What mattered was that we never stopped arguing. And while we fought, while we stopped admiring the other out of loyalty to our idol, they monetized our tribalism. They turned every match into fuel for the next controversy. They gave us a simple narrative. Messi is pure talent. Ronaldo is pure effort. Now choose. Defend. Attack. But the truth was never that simple. And maybe, if we'd turned down the noise, if we'd ignored the headlines crafted to provoke, we might have realized this was never about choosing. It was about appreciating. Because what we lived through wasn't a war. It was a gift. The most incredible part of all this is that we got to witness something unrepeatable. In no other sport did the top two ever coincide so perfectly. Two legends, at the same time, on the same pitch, for over 15 years, and it was all right in front of us. But instead of cherishing it, we fought, as if football were a battlefield, as if picking one meant betraying the other. And now that their careers are ending, now that every game could be their last, we realize what we had, and how little we truly appreciated it. This video isn't here to tell you not to pick a favorite. You can believe one was better, but let me remind you of something. We'll never know with 100% certainty. Never, because football, like life, isn't always measurable, and maybe it shouldn't be. So today I didn't come to settle the debate. I came to let it go, and to say thank you to both. If this video made you see things differently, I invite you to subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and send it to someone who lived through this era too. We had the privilege of watching them play. The least we can do is remember it the way it deserves to be remembered.